Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. This is BRN AM for Monday, August 5th, 2024. And our top story today, a strategic framework for a national plan on aging. And joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Kari Benson is the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Aging at the Administration for Community Living. Kari, so great to meet you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we are so privileged to have you, and this is a very important topic and one that we have covered from a lot of different angles on our network. And I guess I'll start with a basic question, and that is, how do you plan for an aging population? So how does, not you, Kari Benson, but the federal government of the United States, how do you plan for an aging America?
It's such a great question, Jeffrey, and it's a big one. We plan for an aging population by planning together. So what we've been undertaking is a pretty monumental effort to bring together that strategic framework for the National Plan on Aging. And one key piece of why we were able to bring that together and why we were able to make it so comprehensive is that we have 16 federal departments and agencies involved. So that is really at the crux of it, the reason why we feel we've got a chance to bring together the federal departments, the federal agencies, and bring all of those different aspects and perspectives together to develop an actual national plan on aging.
And as a follow-up to that, I know that there are different areas or domains with the national plan. Would you mind talking a little bit about those domains, what the focus is for each one?
Absolutely, I would love to. We've spent so much work in partnership with the 16 federal departments and agencies on each of these domains, and really wanting to make sure that we delved into each and really gave them the focus and attention that we need in terms of having truly a national plan on aging. And so what I would like to do is, yes, definitely go through each of the domains that are in the plan. And also, just as I start going into these domains, I do want to also highlight that we realized early on in our process of fleshing out the domains, the strategies, the priorities that we had, at least within the federal government, we also identified some cross-cutting themes and priorities. So I did want to highlight that because, of course, cutting across these domains, we had a very person-centered focus. We wanted to make sure that each of these domains was inclusive, and really an overall focus on the dignity and respect for all of us as we age. So I'll start off with the first domain, which is age-friendly communities. And that's about allowing and ensuring that older adults, that all of us as we age, we can age in community with the respect and inclusivity that each of us want. And so the age-friendly community domain really gets into the infrastructure of our communities, the services and supports, the characteristics of our communities that we each would like to see in our communities, and that they are age-friendly. The second domain is coordinated housing and supportive services. And this is about a key challenge that we have heard in our work. And of course, we've heard in society in general, access to housing, access to affordable housing, and access to housing that is accessible as we age. And as our needs might change, we might experience functional limitations. We want to see a range of housing with the services coordinated with that to allow any one of us to be able to age in community, age in place, be able to access a housing that we need. So that was a big area of focus for us And we were so glad that, that was domain 2 as outlined in our authorizing statute, but it really became clear that very much needed to be one of our priority areas as we looked into the strategic framework for the National Plan on Aging. All right, so then domain 3 is increased access to long-term services and supports. And of course, this goes to the services that most of us will need at some point in our lives as we age. And like I mentioned earlier, our functional ability might change. We might need more help around the house. We might need some help with our personal care. And we need that help from others, right? And so we either access that by paying for it through long-term services and supports programs, or most of us actually receive that support from family, friends, and neighbors who are caregiving. So this domain really focuses on what do we need to do to continue to support those individuals who are providing care and support to older adults, and in many different forms, but really providing that bulk of long-term services and supports. How do we continue to help them so they can continue their roles, but also how can we make more available the services that we need when any one of us might need to pay for it? And how can we make that more affordable, more accessible? And how do we make sure, while an older adult needs those types of supports, they might be experiencing some limitations? How do we make sure that their rights are still protected, that we are still really putting them at the center of our system and making sure that they can continue to call the shots, right, in their the services that they receive, how they receive them, who provides that support. And then finally, our fourth domain is called Aligned Healthcare and Supportive Services. And this domain also we spend a lot of time delving into, and it's both about making sure that we prioritize staying healthy throughout our lives, and so that as we age, we can maintain our health, maintain our physical, behavioral health. When we do experience challenges, any one of us as we grow older, we want to make sure that services are available, health promotion, behavioral health services, as well as access to healthcare, and that we're making sure that being able to access healthcare, being able to access social services, human services is as easy as possible. I think we all experience some challenges with that. And we know that older adults, in particular, older adults with greatest social need and greatest economic need, face barriers to receiving the healthcare and the social services that they need, in accessing benefits that might help them be able to afford the services that they need. And we want to continue to work on improving access, improving the availability of these services, and coordinating those. So we just make it that much easier for any one of us as we age to be able to access the services that we need. And so those are the four domains, Jeffrey, in the strategic framework.
And Kari, just to kind of follow up on that, and you mentioned, and this will be our last question before we have to go to a commercial break. You mentioned that all the federal agencies are working in lockstep around this plan. And just as a follow-up to that, what about, I know that there are national or there are state level aging, there's a focus at the state level, the local level. Can you discuss a little bit about the coordination with some of those groups? Because it does, obviously there are 50 states, there are territories. It takes a combined, I would think it would take a combined effort to deliver all these services.
Absolutely, Jeffrey. It's going to take all of us at every level. And so what I will say, two things about that. One is that there are a lot of efforts underway. both at the community level. There's a lot of age-friendly community efforts. There's multi-sector plans at the community level. There's also phenomenal work happening at the state level. Multi-sector plans on aging that many states have either in place or are in development. And so what we did in the beginning of our process to develop our strategic framework, we really looked to those multi-sector plans on aging at the state level to inform what we came up with in this strategic framework. So we made sure that the domains and the priorities within those domains aligned with and were really informed by the work at the state level. And then, as you said, we need to work together to really make an impact in any one of these areas. So what we look to in the strategic framework is to outline what do we see as the federal government's roles and responsibilities, but also opportunities that we have at the federal level to help make progress in this area. And then how do we see that being coordinated with and complementing, supporting the work at the state and local levels? So this strategic framework is really about what did we see as within the federal government as the work that we need to continue, we need to build upon, and really what's our so it's definitely not the end all be all, but our part of it. And then what we're looking to do is get feedback on that so then we can better connect it up with everybody else's efforts.
Yeah, really important work, especially I think it's like 1 in 5, 1 in 6 Americans are age 65. That number is going to grow. Kari, as I said, I need to take a very quick break. I apologize. We come back, we're going to pick up the conversation. We'll talk about more implementation and a lot more. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the First Lifestyle and Wellness Network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device. Well, Kari, thank you so much for staying with us. Really appreciate you hanging around for segment number 2 this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Kari, in the first segment, I mean, you thoughtfully laid out the strategy, the collaboration between all the federal agencies and even state, local, and community groups to bring this comprehensive strategy to bear. Just a quick question: when you look around the globe, I mean, really, the U.S. is probably not any different than other societies around the globe. If you look at the different continents, were you able to draw from, for example, what some of our peers in the world are doing, and did that factor into the National Plan on Aging?
Yes, absolutely. And we are very much not alone. And we learned from several other countries, multi-sector plans on aging. They might call it something different. And they might, kind of take a different strategy and development, but there's a lot of work underway and partially supported by the World Health Organization and the framework they had put out many years ago. But of course, many other efforts that have fed into and helped support other countries. So we did, as a part of our development of the strategic framework, at the same time that we were pulling from the multi-sector plans on aging at the state level, we were also analyzing other countries' multi-sector plans for aging and using those to support our efforts. And so we benefited from seeing how others organize their efforts, as well as what the priorities were, how they articulated, strategies to address some very common challenges, right, and opportunities that we all have across the globe. And so, yes, it has been exciting to see all of the other efforts and, of course, be able to learn from them as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And coming from the retirement industry, I always look at some of our peers to creating the best retirement plan possible. So that's the reason why I asked the question. Let's talk a little bit about implementation, or further about implementation. And obviously, this is a big initiative for the executive branch and Health and Human Services and all the different agencies. Let's talk a little bit about Congress. Are they focused on this? I mean, obviously, forgetting the political things that are going on, but with people turning age 65, people getting older, is funding the programs that we're talking about, funding the agencies, is that top of mind for the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate as they begin to deliberate new legislation, new funding bills, et cetera?
Well, they really led the way, Jeffrey, I will say, in terms of within the Older Americans Act. They authorized the Administration for Community Living to convene federal partners to develop the strategic framework. And within that statute, that the Older Americans Act was reauthorized a few years ago. Within that, they outlined the domains that serve to provide us kind of that basis and the organizing principles for us to do this work. And so we have been in touch with congressional leaders and providing feedback on the plan, providing reports to them and updates, and we will absolutely keep them apprised. And we issued as the National Strategic Framework that first report to Congress, and so they are very interested, and we will keep in touch and in communication. And hopefully we look forward to, in the future, as years go forward here, to work with them ongoing on the strategic framework and then its implementation.
Yeah, of course, plans evolve, especially during, having worked on numerous projects, not like this, but what you lay out sometimes needs to evolve and change over time, and therefore may require some additional resources. Kari, last question. Obviously, we're talking about an aging population. Are there things that we can be doing as Americans to help out, either with making sure that we're healthy, that we're not straining resources, that we're providing care to other people? Are there things that we can be doing in concert with the National Plan for Aging?
Absolutely. And you said it so well. I mean, those are some of the key things, right? That any one of us can do to be connected with others, to reach out and ask if there's anything that, you can do to help a loved one, a friend, a neighbor who might need some help. But also just stay connected. And we all want to age in community. And so we all are a part of building community and really building communities that really support all of us and include all of us as we age. I will say the other thing we would love for folks to be able to be a part of as a part of this effort. We encourage people to provide input on the strategic framework for the National Plan on Aging. So we have really benefited from great partnership with the Community Engagement Collaborative, which includes West Health, John A. Hartford Foundation, and the SCAN Foundation, and they have made available an online portal for folks to provide their comments, provide their thoughts. Does the strategic framework resonate with them? Are we getting it right? What have we missed? And what do they want to see as they age in community? And what do they want to see from the federal level as a part of this effort? So encourage folks to give input, but also just reach out and be a part of your community.
Yeah, really good advice. And hey, look, this is your. I'm now speaking to the audience, not you, Kari. I mean, this is your America. So get involved and be a part of it. And that's going to be a big whiteboard with all those ideas, Kari. I guess you'll have to take a picture of what that looks like eventually. Kari, we're going to have to leave it there. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thank you so much.
That wraps up this episode of BRNAM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to? Drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news and lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more all in one place, Check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content, and visit our website. Hey, we're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRN AM. We'll have a very special guest and another important topic. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe. Keep on saving. Don't forget, roll with those changes.